you enjoyed those 4 stories about the pursuit.
I did. I ended up with a cat on my lap.
The pursuit of pets. Sometimes we'll share things when we're in the middle of them and we're not ready for the reflection yet. So we're talking about it. I'm recognizing I'm in this stage, but I don't know how to help. Like, I don't know how to get through it yet, how I'm getting through it. So I'm not ready to talk about that process fully. I'm ready to talk where I'm at now. That's how silent some of these things are that we're all dealing with.
The circle of life.
Her Hey everybody, welcome into Folklore and Flourish. You're here with Jane and Mark in Blue Box 29. We are in the month of February, the month of sacred bonds, the beloved and the binder. We're in the week 1, the awakening of love. Today is the 4th day, February 4th, so we are in the pursuit. Our theme for today is seeking the beloved. So we are seeking the beloved and we are in the pursuit. The 4 stories we are going to look at today come from Egyptian, Celtic, Hindu, and Germanic folklore. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at those and then see you after. Enjoy these. I want to take a moment to honor the cultures behind the stories we are about to explore. The tales shared here come from many peoples, lands, and traditions. I do not change these stories to fit modern expectations or to align with today's social standards. Instead, I present them as they were told, sometimes beautiful, sometimes harsh, sometimes challenging. We are not here to judge the past, but to understand it, to listen, to learn, and to honor the ancestors who carried these stories forward. We also share stories from various religious traditions. These are presented in their historical and spiritual context, with respect for their beliefs that they represent. Every culture deserves respect, context, and acknowledgement, and this space is dedicated to doing exactly that. Story 1. Isis searches for Osiris. In Egyptian tradition, love does not wait, it moves. When something sacred is broken, it must be sought. When what was whole is scattered, it must be gathered. Love is not a feeling held quietly. It is action taken across impossible distances. Isis was the great goddess of magic, devotion, and restoration. She was wife to Osiris, king of Egypt, bringer of order, fertility, and just rule. Together, they shaped a world where life followed rhythm and death held meaning. But Osiris had a brother. Set embodied disruption, violence, and jealousy. Where Osiris brought continuity, Set brought fracture. He did not merely want Osiris gone, he wanted him erased. Set murdered Osiris and cut his body into pieces. Not to hide him, to scatter him. He cast the fragments across Egypt so that Osiris could not be restored, believing that what is divided cannot rise again. Isis did not accept this. She did not collapse into grief. She did not retreat into prayer alone. She began the search. Disguised as a common woman, Isis traveled the length of the Nile. She questioned villagers, she listened to reeds whispering at the river's edge. She followed rumor, intuition, and grief sharpened into purpose. Each fragment mattered. This is essential. Isis did not seek only Osiris's spirit. She sought his body. In Egyptian cosmology, wholeness matters. Resurrection is not abstraction. It is reassembly. Piece by piece, Isis found him. Some fragments were hidden in marshes. some lodged in trees. One was lost forever, consumed by fish, forcing Isis to craft a replacement through magic and intention. Love adapts. It does not abandon the work because conditions change. When Isis gathered Osiris's body, she did not yet restore him to the living world. Instead, she did something quieter, more profound. She mourned him fully. In Egyptian belief, mourning is not weakness. It is invocation. Through ritual grief, Isis called Osiris back into form, long enough to conceive their son, Horus, who would later challenge Set and restore balance to the world. Osiris did not return to rule the living. He became Lord of the Dead. Isis's pursuit did not undo loss, it transformed it. Through her action, death gained order. The afterlife gained structure. The soul gained passage rather than oblivion. Love did not reclaim what was, it protected what could still be. Isis is not remembered for despair. She is remembered for persistence. She crossed borders between worlds. She searched where others surrendered. She gathered what chaos had scattered. She refused to let dismemberment be the final word. In Egyptian tradition, this is the highest form of love. Not possession, not reunion, but devotion that acts. Love becomes real when it is pursued, not blindly, not violently, but with commitment to restoration rather than revenge. Isis did not chase Osiris to bring him back unchanged. She pursued him so the world itself could heal. Story 2, Deirdre and Nisha. In Celtic tradition, pursuit is not reckless, it is defiant. Love does not always move towards safety. Sometimes it moves away from power, choosing exile rather than obedience. To pursue the beloved is to accept the cost of standing against what is foretold. Deirdre was born under a prophecy. The seers of Ulster foretold that her beauty would bring ruin. Men would kill for her. Kingdoms would fracture. Blood would follow wherever she went. Because of this, King Conavar decreed that Deirdre would be hidden away, raised in isolation until she was old enough to become his wife. Protection and imprisonment wore the same name. Deirdre grew in the forest, tended by caretakers who loved her but could not free her. She learned the language of birds and wind, the quiet intelligence of trees. Beauty did not make her vain, it made her alert. She understood early that her life was being shaped by others' fear. One winter day she saw a raven drink blood from fresh snow. The contrast struck her deeply. She spoke aloud a wish she did not yet understand. To love someone with hair as black as the raven, skin as white as snow, and cheeks as red as blood. Her wish traveled. Not long after, she met Nisha, one of the sons of Usnach. He was a warrior, skilled in music, combat, honorable and gentle. When Deirdre saw him, recognition was immediate. This was not a romance born of convenience. This was a knowing that demanded movement. Deirdre did not wait for permission. She approached Nisha and spoke plainly. She told him of the prophecy. She told him of the king's claim. She told him that to love her would mean exile or death. Nisha listened. Then he chose her. Love, in Celtic myth, is not passive longing. It is decision. Nisha and his brothers fled Ulster with Deirdre, crossing the sea to Alba, what is now Scotland. They lived in the wilderness, hunted for survival, and played music to soften their nights. Deirdre knew hardship, but she knew freedom. Yet, pursuit does not end when safety is found. Conavar, older now, sent word. He swore peace. He promised forgiveness. He invoked honor, hospitality, and kinship. Against Deirdre's warning, Nisha believed him. They returned. Celtic law holds hospitality as sacred. To betray a guest is among the gravest sins. But prophecy and power do not always bow to law. Nisha was killed. His brothers fell beside him. Deirdre was taken. For a year, she lived in Conavar's household, grieving publicly and resisting privately. When forced to choose between the king and the man she loved, she chose neither. She chose memory. In the end, Deirdre took her own life rather than submit. In Irish tradition, this is not weakness. It is refusal. Deirdre's pursuit was never about escape alone. It was about agency. She chose love knowing its cost. She did not ask fate to spare her. She met it standing. After her death, it is said that 2 yew trees grew from the graves of Deirdre and Nisha, their branches intertwined above the earth, forming a single canopy. When Conovar ordered them cut down, the wood would not stay separate. It rejoined itself again and again. Even in death, pursuit continued. Love did not restore what was lost, but it refused erasure. Story 3. Savitri confronts death. In Hindu tradition, pursuit is not reckless. It is resolute. Love does not chase blindly. It walks steadily into places others refuse to go. Carrying devotion is both shield and argument. To pursue the beloved is to engage fate directly, not to flee it. Savitri was the daughter of King Ashvapati, born after long prayer and discipline. From her youth, Savitri was known not only for beauty, but for discernment. She listened carefully. She spoke deliberately. Her presence carried weight. When the time came for her to choose a husband, Savitri did not accept an arranged match. She traveled instead, observing men as they lived rather than as they were praised. In the forest, she met Satyavan, a young man living in exile with his blind father. Satyavan was kind, skilled, and honest. He lived simply, cutting wood and caring for his parents without resentment. Savitri recognized him immediately. She chose him. When Savitri returned home and announced her decision, the sage, Narada, revealed a terrible truth. Satyavan was destined to die within a year. The prophecy was certain. No ritual could avert it. Savitri did not withdraw her choice. Love, in this tradition, is not made ignorant by prophecy. It is tested by it. Savitri married Satyavan and joined him in the forest. She served his parents, honored his labor, and lived fully within the life she had chosen. As the final day approached, she took a vow of fasting and vigil, preparing not to beg fate, but to meet it. When Satyavan collapsed beneath a tree, Savitri laid his head to her lap. And when Yama, lord of death and justice, appeared to take Satyavan's soul, Savitri rose and followed. Yama commanded her to turn back. She did not. She walked beside him, speaking calmly, asking questions, praising righteousness, reciting truths about duty, devotion, and the nature of justice. She did not plead. She reasoned. Impressed, Yama offered her boons. She asked first for her father-in-law's sight to be restored. Yama granted it. She asked for his kingdoms to be returned. Yama granted it. She asked for her own father to have many sons. Yama granted it. Then Savitri asked for a final blessing, to bear sons herself. Yama paused. Only then did he realize the contradiction. A woman whose husband is dead cannot bear children. Bound by his word, Yama released Satyavan's soul. Savitri returned to the forest carrying not triumph, but quiet certainty. She had not defeated death through force. She had pursued love through integrity, wisdom, and unwavering presence. In Hindu tradition, this is the highest form of devotion. Savitri does not rage against fate. She does not curse the gods. She meets death with composure and clarity, refusing to abandon what she has chosen. Pursuit here is not frantic. It is steadfast. Love becomes real not because it is spared, but because it stands firm when loss arrives. Story 4. Siegfried and Brunhilde. In Germanic tradition, pursuit is not gentle. It is perilous. Love does not move in a straight line toward fulfillment. It moves through trials, oaths, and betrayals, testing not only courage but integrity. To pursue the beloved is to risk being changed by the very forces one seeks to master. Siegfried, also called Sigurd in Norse tradition, was a hero shaped by ordeal. He slew the dragon Fafnir, bathed in its blood, and gained near invulnerability, save for a single pace upon his back, where a leaf had fallen. Strength followed him like legend, but strength alone did not grant wisdom. Brunhilde was no ordinary woman. She was a shield maiden, a queen bound to ancient law. In some tellings she was once divine. In others, punished by the gods and set to sleep behind a wall of flame until a hero worthy enough would claim her. In others, she ruled her own realm and accepted no suitor who could not defeat her in feats of strength. What remains consists of this. Brunhilde could not be taken. She could only be met. To pursue Brunhilde meant passing through fire, or overcoming her in contests that demanded more than brute force. She tested not only power, but resolve. Many failed. Their pursuit ended in humiliation or death. Siegfried succeeded. He crossed the flames. He stood before Brunhilde. In that moment, recognition flickered between them. Not love yet, but respect. Something ancient stirred. The pursuit was real. But the story fractures here. Through trickery and obligation, Siegfried became bound to another woman, Kriemhild. To secure political alliance, Siegfried aided King Gunther in winning Brunhilde's hand by deception, using magic to conceal his strength and appear as Gunther's proxy. Brunhilde was defeated under false terms. She was taken, not chosen. This is where pursuit becomes corruption. Brunhilde sensed the dishonor immediately. The fire that once guarded her now burned inward. She withdrew, her power dimmed by betrayal she could not name but could not ignore. The one who had truly crossed the flames had vanished behind illusion. Siegfried, bound by loyalty and silence, did not speak. Love pursued without truth becomes violence. The tension festered. When the deception was revealed, Brunhilde's fury was not wild, it was righteous. Honor, once broken, demands reckoning. In Germanic myth, betrayal does not dissolve quietly, it calls blood. Siegfried was murdered. His invulnerability failed at the one place left unprotected. Strength could not save him from consequence. The hero who crossed flames fell not to dragon or fire, but to betrayal born of dishonor. Brunhilde's fate varies across tellings. In some, she joins Siegfried in death, her grief transforming into resolve. In others, she survives, hardened by loss, her story ending not in reunion, but in mourning. What matters is not which ending is chosen. What matters is what the pursuit revealed. Siegfried pursued Brunhilde through courage, but abandoned truth to secure peace. Brunhilde pursued honor, refusing to accept a bond formed through deceit. Love did not fail because it was too fierce. It failed because it was not honest. In Germanic tradition, pursuit is sacred only when aligned with oath. Fire tests worthiness. Trials reveal character. When pursuit ignores integrity, it collapses into tragedy. Brunhilde was not wrong to demand strength. She was wronged by illusion. Siegfried was not weak for loving her. He was undone by silence. Love becomes real when it is acted upon, yes, but actions without truth carries a cost that echoes through generations. The flames do not lie. Only those who walk through them openly are meant to stand on the other side. Hey everybody, welcome back in. Hope you enjoyed those 4 stories about the pursuit.
I did. I ended up with a cat on my lap.
The pursuit of pets. We were in the theme of seeking the beloved. We had 4 stories, Egyptian, Celtic, Hindu, and Germanic, 4 different takes on what that looked like. Our daily thread is that across these traditions, love does not remain still when what is sacred is threatened. Isis crosses land and water to gather what has been torn apart. Deirdre chooses exile rather than surrender her truth. Savitri walks beside death itself, refusing to abandon devotion. Siegfried crosses fire, but fails when truth is withheld. Each story reveals that love becomes real only through action. Pursuit is not reckless longing. It is the courage to move, even when the path demands sacrifice. I recall when I was reading through them and when we listened back to them, that I remember thinking I had something to say about each one of these. We talk about each one of them, but I felt like I connected a little bit here and there with
right. Sometimes it's like I do honestly struggle figuring out something to add
Right.
to
Some
every
days are
story.
some days just don't hit like other days.
And then there's other days where, yeah, like you said, and it just flows out,
And we have to cut like an hour out or so of the editing process.
There's been times where, like, that's why we do have Behind the Blue Box, just so everybody knows. That's on my YouTube side of channels. And when I say mine, that's just the one where I upload from. It's my side of behind the scenes. So, but so it is both of us.
But this is the channel driven through Folklore and Flourish, which is what I want to do. Whereas the healing is what you want to do, and talking and everything. And it's just a brand. You're helping brand.
Yeah.
Folklore and Flourish.
Right.
So, but yeah, that's where we do a little bit more of the intimate personal stuff between you and I. So there have been times where I've cut a few scenes that were very personal, and we've talked about those before.
Right.
Where, yeah, it felt very good to openly talk about that together, but that didn't need to go out.
Right. And there will be times where we do have intimate conversations. And if it is pertinent to the healing of others, I 100% will not. If it's something that will help somebody else, I think we should leave it. But I do want to
we absolutely are. But there is some stuff that doesn't need to be in there for sure.
Right. And that's a definite thing too, is we and I on our healing journeys. The thing is that's the biggest thing is I.
And not everything needs to be public either.
Amen.
Because
and that's for everybody. Like, you don't need to tell your friends.
Sometimes my healing is addressing.
Yeah, just saying it out loud, like yesterday's thing. Like, where we had to write it down, right? Mm-hmm. We had to write down something.
You had to write a letter that you would never send.
Right.
So acknowledging what you missed, but not asking it to return.
Right. So then now moving forward, since we did something like that with that lesson in mind, or we are using that, what can we use moving forward with these stories today?
Right. And sometimes we'll share things when we're in the middle of them and we're not ready for the reflection yet. So we're talking about it. I'm recognizing I'm in this stage.
Yeah.
But I don't know how to help. Like, I don't know how to get through it yet, how I'm getting through it.
Right.
So I'm not ready to talk about that process fully. I'm ready to talk where I'm at now, but so that is a thing as well. Is I definitely believe that healing with your partner is essential. Healing with your creator, whatever that may be, is. But outside of those two things, I don't think
part of it for sure. Yeah.
Out of those two, I don't think anyone else needs to know the personal details of your,
just maybe the steps of how.
Unless you're specifically asking for help or perspective. Sometimes you don't want help; you just want perspective.
Right. Because there is a lot of stuff that you and I have went through that possibly somebody could want to reach out and not know.
Mm-hmm.
So truly, you can be fully, and I tell people this all the time, you can be truly fully open with me. And I can talk to you without judgment on said subject up to a certain point. I mean, if it's no bueno,
Like what kind of stuff?
I don't know, like illegal things, I guess.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
So, but other than that, like,
but that's a whole different aspect. Like, that's some stuff needs to be addressed.
Yeah.
On one side or the other. Who knows? Anyways, jumping right into the first one, we've seen Isis before. We heard a little bit about her bringing back Osiris, putting him back together. Not bringing him back to the land of the living, but to rule the underworld. And we talked a lot about how Anubis was the ruler of the underworld.
Yeah.
The main central underworld deity for a long time before Osiris. Osiris is a little bit more of the Egypt as we know.
Yeah.
No, but anyways, Isis's pursuit teaches that love does not always rescue what is lost. It restores meaning where destruction has occurred. In Egyptian cosmology, love is an active force that gathers, protects, and reshapes the world so life may continue with dignity. That did not underestimate Isis at all. These were impossible tasks. He did not start by tearing apart Osiris's body. He sank him in the Nile first, and she found him. Everything else served its purpose.
But she wanted to mourn him too. Like that part, when it said that was That was that lip quiver type of moment. That was that beautiful moment.
Yeah, when I was reading it, I felt that sync.
Yeah. Where she's doing this to not bring him back, but to give him.
When Isis gathered Osiris's body, she did not yet restore him to the living world. Instead, she did something quieter and more profound. She mourned him fully.
That
she knew her capabilities and that he was going to return to the land of the dead, right? The way this story sounds. She was acknowledging the threshold of death itself. That's what she was acknowledging and allowing it to hurt her. And she respected it. And that's what the mourning was. This isn't Osiris's end.
She just was.
But it's my Osiris's end.
Because now he has bigger things to do.
And he's about to rise new. But yet that was something quieter and more profound mourning. It is very quiet. And people go through it daily and we don't even know. I mean, we pass people on the street and you just pass them and then one day they get the worst news or the best news of their life and you never know. That's how silent some of these things are that we're all dealing with. And I could just imagine the power within that room of just she searched and pursued every piece of him and brought him back. And then now it just sitting in the quiet with him. She was not only doing it for herself, but that was respect for him. She brought his body peace, which was a big thing back then. Set wasn't just overthrowing and disrespecting. He was condemning Osiris. He was completely destroying him. And it's beautiful that Isis just acknowledged every piece of that process. And that's what a lot of these magician type deities do. The ones that play with magic is every ingredient serves its purpose in life. Mourning is an ingredient.
It's a part of the circle of life.
Her pursuit, that's that whole idea that we've had in January, at the end of January, a little bit of our duty is the living, to help the dead find peace or help the dead transition into peace a little bit easier, right? The lesson for today, after looking at Isis, the lesson is that love is rarely passive. Love is rarely passive. So just looking at Isis's, it was relentless. It was determined. It had the end goal, which was just to sit there in that quiet. And so now let's look at it moving forward, that love is rarely passive. The second story, Deirdre and Nisha. Deirdre's story is not a warning against love, but against control disguised as protection. In Celtic tradition, pursuit in the act of choosing one's truth, even when the cost is exile, loss, or death. Love is real not because it survives, but because it is chosen. Looking back, and I think this is a beautiful story that I've told you about, that I'm very passionate about, and it's because of my past, and it kind of led us to be, I think.
Yeah.
Kind of together a little bit, but that whole act of choice, right? When we walk away because we believe it's hard, so we make that choice for other people. Well, I don't want to be with you because I think one day you may want this, you may like this. This one was, here it is, here's a reality. And he looked it in the face and said, okay, and that was just it. No, I heard you. She was the one that was born under the prophecy that her beauty would bring ruin. Men would kill for her. Kingdoms would fraction. Blood would follow.
And then they showed up. Someone showed up and killed everybody. Who was that? Who showed up? And
it was that king.
The one that she was supposed to marry?
Mm-hmm.
Because he's like, it's time, fool. And they're like, nah.
And then this was a key concept, was that he falsified the peace that he was going to give.
Yeah.
So he came forward and was like, hospitality, all this stuff, and just completely disrespected it.
Yeah.
And the Celtic laws held that hospitality very sacred, as it said in the story.
Yeah, because he invited them back.
He said, with honor, all of this.
Not going to murder you. Murder you.
And then he killed Nisha and his brothers.
That's rude.
Slaughtered all of them. Deirdre said, don't trust him. For years, she lived there grieving publicly, resisting him privately, and in the end, she ended up taking her own life rather than submitting to him. We don't read these stories at all suggesting that that's the way you should do it.
No, not at all.
And we are not at all living in circumstances where that is the only reality.
Right.
This was
At
her.
this allegedly in this time frame, that would have been the only way for her. And then it's because it's this story, you know, and there's lessons with inside it, you know.
So, and the beautiful part about it was in death, those two trees grew together. Didn't matter if they tried to cut them, separate them.
They just kept growing back together.
Like that love
like,
refused to be erased.
Like, no, we're good right here.
And that's just so
this is where we belong.
You can't touch us now.
They MC Hammered it.
Can't touch this. And then they're like high-fiving in the air.
Yeah.
All right. So the third one, we're just chug-a-lug-a-lugging. Chug-a-lug-a-lovin'. Love is hardly passive. The love in that was destructive. But that's the thing, was the guy didn't love, right? So it wasn't about unrequited love in that story. That was about possession, ownership. And that's what's important about it. Was that had nothing to do with love, what the king did.
Yeah.
Okay. The third one, how about our girl Savitri getting Yama, being clever with Yama to the point that Yama lost him back. Yeah. That soul.
Like totally back alive, like, and then they just get to go on and live their lives.
Released his soul. Yes, he comes back to life.
Okay.
Due to her wit and devotion.
She's like, no, I want to have a baby. And it's in their tradition, once you are married, you can't have babies with somebody else, even if they die.
Not the women. So Yama, so before we jump fully into that story 3, Yama granted Savitri the 4 main boons, specifically excluding her husband's life initially. So that's why she excluded, you do not get to ask for his life back. So she
never did ask
knowledge and wisdom of her customs, her culture.
Right.
And Yama, all right, you know, and she secured the restoration of her father-in-law's eyesight and kingdom, 100 sons for her own father, and finally 100 sons for herself with him.
She gonna have 100 sons?
I don't think you'd feel them after a while. They would just pop out like daisies. Anyways, Savitri, she was offered the boons by Yama for her wit and devotion and walking, or her wisdom and devotion for walking him to the end, soul to the end. And she knew her custom, she knew her culture. We always talk about, we're trying to learn more about where we come from through these stories. We as a people, she knew where she came from. I loved that my first initial thought, and I told you after this story, because you kind of chuckled and you're like, ooh, girl, all right.
Yeah.
You liked it.
As she read it.
And I felt after, like I told you, when I was reading it, it felt like Savitri, when Yama arrived, was like, it's not over. Like death is not the end. And that's what it felt like, in that calm, to keep your wits about you. She did that because it's not over yet. I refuse to feel what may be felt or what may not be felt, but it's not over yet. It goes just at the end that the pursuit here is not frantic. It's steadfast. It's that, not that panic when the test comes, that freak out, that jump over the edge. It's that resolving that we have when we know we're about to make a rash decision. We know we're about to do something we shouldn't, or that may be harmful, and we take that breath. That's what she did, though, the whole time. You know, coming down, though. So Savitri's story teaches that pursuit does not require violence or defiance of cosmic order. That's what's beautiful. She honored the process. She honored her roots. She honored everything that she had been taught. And she used the Dharma to, like, that's what it was, the teachings of the Dharma. And instead, love prevails through discernment, patience, and ethical clarity. She wanted sons, right? With him. That was part of their customs. So she asked for something that she truly wanted. And that's what it was no, I know the rules. I know our customs. I know our livelihood.
Gotcha.
And you just granted it, you know, for one person. That's what it felt like. But in Hindu tradition, devotion aligned with righteousness has the power to reshape destiny itself. She did not walk back gloating, did not walk back even triumphant. Just, it feels like when you, that part, I don't know, it just hit me. It felt like being on black ice, where you're just gliding across. And then you make it and everyone's okay. And you're like,
easy, no problem.
Move forward, move forward. I
Let's not
love
talk
that.
about that.
Right. It says at the end that love becomes real not because it is spared, but because it stands firm when loss arrives. So when loss arrives, it stands firm when the possibility of it comes. It stands firm. It doesn't run away. Number 4, story 4, the Germanic one. Fried and Brunhilde's story is not a condemnation of pursuit, but a warning about deception. In Germanic tradition, love pursued without honor corrodes both lover and beloved. The pursuit requires not only courage, but truthfulness, even when truth threatens power. I think that over time, when we are with someone, anyone, for a certain amount of time, you're getting to know them, you do get to have feelings for them. You do start to learn things about them. You get to used to them. You love the good and the bad, per se, right?
Right.
But this story emphasizes and points out that when the foundation is built on a lie,
Yeah.
and it's like, well, you love me now based on a lie, and I'm the most important thing to you, and you got me by lying. So you got something you value deeply through a lie. That's going to be a pattern that you might see again in the future because it's already worked. And I think that it's what is said that kind of connected to story 3, love becomes real when it's acted upon, yes. But without truth, it carries a cost that echoes through generations. That's generational. That lie will be felt. That's part of that generational healing that we've talked about.
Right.
That might be the thing that you have to heal. Relationships might be fractured in your bloodline.
Yeah, for sure.
In your family because a foundational, partnership was built on a lie.
And you could have been chosen for that. Your ability to heal could be that, and that's what you could be chosen for. Dig deep when you're looking at healing, and be open to the idea that could be something you need to do within yourself and within your family lineage. So be open to the idea. It's a beautiful thing to be able to do something.
Through my own personal experience, I have never found that lying about who I am to my partner has
doesn't help
ever ended well for myself or them.
No.
It's when you start putting on those masks. When you put the first one on, when does it end?
Because it just gets easier, and then you forget what you lied about or whatever. Because they say that's one thing about liars. And then also a big thing is when you lie, you start suspecting the other person is doing the same thing. So then unfortunately you start getting accusatory. You're accusing them of something they haven't even done. And then they're like, what? And then that's when the fights begin, and then just the energy goes back and forth, and then it's over. Because there is no trust. Because you started with something that now where do we go from?
Oh, absolutely.
It's an unfortunate thing. Because, man, years down the road, you're like, oh, this is great. I'm so glad I made that lie up. But then that other person finds out, and they're like, yeah, but now so what? Because that trust is gone,
I think what's scary a lot of the time, too, seeing it, in a smaller town, it's a little bit easier to see what's going on. But some of these lives ruin lives. Some of these lies that people have in the pursuit of their lust, not love. Because to think you're chasing someone that you love, but you're lying. Yeah. So if you love them, you'd be honest. So it's lust. And how many lives are ruined and destroyed over lust and pride and ego?
And so much.
Those lies. And both ways,
to the point,
both ways. It's not one group's a victim and the other one's not. It's not everyone is a liar and there's some serious damage that will happen, generational sometimes, and that is terrifying. And so we have to remember that love doesn't lie, and that's what these stories are kind of telling us, especially this last one. It felt like to me, love doesn't lie. And if love was built on a lie, it wasn't love. You tricked me. And I just feel like, I don't know, I just felt very thankful that I don't have to worry about that with you, because that feeling, no, but for real though, but that feeling like just sunk in my stomach of, if I had to recognize that, I think I'd be so ashamed of myself. Like, wow, bamboozled. Yeah, I would have to joke about it, because I'd be like, I wouldn't believe anything else. If what it started on was a lie, I wouldn't believe anything else.
Started If our relationship,
Yeah.
man, what the hell would the lie be?
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm thankful that I don't have to worry about that. Because if it's built on a lie at all, I would just have a hard time believing anything, and I would really feel awful. I think that would be a terrible burden to put on somebody.
Right.
Because what a terrible position. Do I believe that it was love, or was it all a trick? Was my soulmate someone else that I should have met had you
not stopped you?
not lied? You
Oh my
not
goodness, I
decided
didn't think
my
about that
life?
way. Man, could you imagine? You're like, I'm gonna trick
Had
you.
you not wasted my time?
And that was part of it. That's part of the
Because we know we're not right for someone if we're lying to them.
yeah. If you have to lie to them about something, it's because it's not right, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then you do that, and then but that's the snake in the grass. They do that, slithering around, getting people are. That's what they say the snakes are for, right?
Right. Wild snakes are, though, pretty positive means of transformation.
Yeah.
But if you don't refuse to transform, it can be pretty
Right.
violent. Truth pursuit requires not only courage but truthfulness. Yeah, to pursue someone, we must be vulnerable, and that goes with being honest. I believe with our relationship, we've had some struggles because of this, but from the beginning, when we had both experienced lies in our own versions from partners, and that was something you and I both said we didn't want. We didn't want little white lies, because your version and my version of little white lies is up for determination. The situation matters. Who it is matters. The time of day matters. My mood matters. How much I've eaten matters. But no, but on a serious note, we talked about that, how we didn't want little white lies, any of that. That doesn't mean I want to make a very clear distinction, though. Nobody does speak poorly about you when they come to my table. There are concerns and stuff. They want to know, like, if you're okay or whatever. Yeah. But people don't talk bad to you, because I wouldn't even listen to that. But the little white lies of, well, I didn't want to tell you this because it would hurt your feelings. If someone was saying something poorly about me, I could take, I'm not going to tell you because it was rude. It was unkind. And you don't need to hear it. You dealt with it. That is a clear distinction I have, though. Right. I won't tell you something that's going to hurt you if it has no purpose, right? That's not a little white lie, but I'll tell you, it was uncomfortable because they said some stupid things and I had to beat them, in my mind. But you get what I'm saying, though. Right. Like the little white lies. Love asks you to be honest, to be truthful. And if we're healing and we're following our purpose and loving as we all talk like we want to, there shouldn't be any lies that are worth keeping, secrets worth having. Especially when you and I, we've talked about, we're practicing what we preach, growing together. Sometimes growing together means having those conversations of, okay, we need to have an honest conversation. But the more you have that, the easier it is. Right. The little things become a lot of things. Right. Like a lot of things become little the more honest you are, And I have found that. Yeah, and even since the beginning, there were some things that bothered me way more than others. And now it's just like, when I think about the little things in old relationships that bothered me, I didn't even notice them in this. Like just little things that come with moving in with someone, just having your space taken. It really becomes not worth thinking about when you live in an honest relationship. All we can hope for is that our loved ones would be honest with us. So if that's what we all hope for, we owe it to ourselves to give that. Do I wish I would have been a liar to some of my exes that lied to me at the time? Yeah, when I was younger. Yeah. Am I glad that I wasn't in certain situations? Yeah. Did I lie in others? Yeah, because I knew I wasn't the right person for them. And I knew they weren't right for me. And it feels good to not have to worry about that anymore. But in the pursuit, the reflection question, keeping all of those in mind, love is rarely passive. And love, when we don't truly understand it or respect it, right, we use our idea of love to excuse unlovable actions. And that's where we need to step back and look at what is love before we act upon it sometimes, because in turn, it's not love. With some of these stories. The question today, our reflection question is, what would I cross worlds to protect or reclaim? What would I cross worlds to protect or reclaim? Something that I like to point out about pursuit and my feelings is that it is beautiful to chase sometimes and to be chased, to be pursued. But if it's constant, I'm having to chase you and I'm not feeling like you're chasing me back. If I'm feeling like I have to chase you and compete, or that regardless of what we've been through, each pursuit is like I'm a brand new character. I've seen some of that, in movies. And that is so painful. Those are the characters they make you sad because it is so real. We do that when we think we're in love. We're blinded. And so what would I cross worlds to protect or reclaim? Would your answer say you too? Like that was the first thing in my head was I obviously was like would have said you.
Yeah, no, I thought you were waiting for something else because I was like,
I know we were staring at each
initial thing
other.
was you, and then
that's
I'm
what
like,
I
I don't
thought.
know what else.
But then I thought,
like what?
there wasn't any doubt in my head, but there would have definitely been a time where I had answered differently to this, and I know that I would have never been their answer. Truly,
Really?
deep down.
Oh,
Would they
wow.
cross worlds to protect me? Would they cross worlds to reclaim me? At the end of the day, would I have? If I had known that already. Crossing worlds isn't an easy feat.
Pretty far. I get tired. And then like
Stairs
naps.
are hard sometimes,
I did the Stairmaster today for like 5 minutes, 6 minutes. I don't know. Too many minutes, but it was.
Yeah, that was just something. It feels good to know and believe that that's something that we both feel. Love is also a two-way street. It's not passive, to receive or to give. So today with your activity, you're going to take 10 intentional steps today, naming silently what you are willing to pursue. So what are things you're willing to pursue? Take 10 intentional steps, naming them silently in your head. I love doing like stuff like this. And when you start to list it off and the things that come right away in your head, and then the things you feel guilty about because they didn't come right away, but they should have, that's when your psyche comes out, I think. The wall isn't up against yourself in those times. It's saying, this is your truth, before you have time to react any differently because your emotions take hold. So, I would love to do this with you.
Yeah.
I'd love to do that with you today and to just take 10 intentional steps.
Yeah.
So your parents are here and think about that silently. And for any of you guys watching, for you at home watching, Mark and I don't always share our responses. We don't always share our answers. Every single day doesn't revolve around each other. Not every single answer is going to be Mark for me or vice versa. It's not always about what I can give. Sometimes it is, what do I want to receive? What am I asking for? Sometimes it has nothing to do with either of us and it's a completely different relationship we're dealing with. And I'm saying to you, hey, Mark, I need you to be okay with loving me more patiently and standing there while I deal with this, while I pursue mending this. So I really hope that you listening truly understand that. Don't ever feel like love is an obligation. It's not an obligation. Responsibility, yes, there are responsibilities, but it should never feel like an obligation. And when it does, sit and talk about it.
Yeah, because maybe you're not being taken care of. If what you're doing feels like an obligation, that's because you feel like you're not getting it reciprocated, or you're just really selfish.
And they may not know.
Yourself.
And they may not know, and they may. And you may be saying, I've told them 18 times the same thing, right? But if you haven't told them, or you haven't told them in a way that they understand.
That's a big thing too.
And that is not, I'm going to talk down on you, but there are times where you and I, Mark, have had miscommunications because we didn't clarify what we meant.
Right.
And it was,
we've laughed about a couple of them too.
And there have been times where it was obvious right away that there was a misunderstanding because it was like, I know you want to speak to me like that.
I was like, what?
Yeah. Or vice versa. Just like I've said things that I'm like, that is not, my tone came out in a whole different way than I anticipated. So sometimes it takes breaking down and breathing and saying, I need this from you.
Right.
This isn't a want. I need this.
Yes.
I don't need you to buy me things. No, I need time. I need your attention. I need 10 minutes a day. Right. We talked about this the other day. I told you I need 10 minutes to an hour a day where there is no technology in either of our hands. It's not between us. It's not around us. The only tech that could be around maybe is a TV, but to just have time to be in the stillness. And I never used to be like that. I feel like that was definitely your strength coming into this relationship. I still think it is your strength, but it's something that's grown on me. It's wanting to be in that too sometimes. But we're going to take those 10 intentional steps today. And then remember that love becomes real when it is acted upon. Love becomes real when it is acted upon. I'm going to add one little piece, is that love becomes real when it is acted upon honestly meeting love. And it's way more fulfilling. Speaking from experience, I don't understand why I lied, because I was scared. That's why I lied before.
It feels better, and it's more fulfilling because you truly, like, once you're like, you know what, I'm gonna surrender to this thought of what ifs, and I'm gonna say, oh well, this is what I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna do it without hesitation. I'm gonna do it like sheets to the wind. Catch this, because I know whatever I give, I'm gonna get back, probably even more. And that right there is enough for me to say, I don't give a shit. Say whatever you guys want. Right. Like, it's game over. I know where I'm going every day.
That's all we have for you today for Folklore and Flourish. Today was all about the pursuit. Join us again tomorrow for February 5th. We are still going to be in week 1, the awakening of love. Remember, take those 10 intentional steps today. Think about what you are willing to pursue. Remember that love pursues you and love is acted upon honestly. That's when it becomes real. And nothing is real if it's not honest. So keep that in mind. We all are just trying to do our best. You, me, the next guy, we're all just trying to do our best. And so we'll see you tomorrow with some more healing and love.
Love you guys. Thanks for coming by.
Thank you for walking this journey with me today. These stories are more than folklore. They are the heartbeat of our world building, the inspiration behind our characters, and the soul of the Legends Reborn Chronicles. By exploring these tales, we honor the past, ignite the present, and breathe life into the legends we're creating together. To see more of Mark and I, as well as additional scenes, discussions, and healing, check the links below that will lead you to our various social media platforms. Please also feel free to ask any questions or leave any comments in the episode below or in future episodes to come. We would love to hear from you. Until next time, may your path be guided by wonder, curiosity, and the magic of the stories that came before us. Blessings, and I'll see you on our next folklore journey.